Oh my god, it's gonna be one of the firsts. This is definitely a first. Hello everyone, this is Francis and welcome to the channel. A lot of people have been asking me about the Taipei series that I uploaded here on YouTube recently. And they've been asking, how did you plan for the trip? How much did you spend? And other things that you need to prepare for a trip outside the country. So in this video, I'm going to try. I'd say try because I didn't do most of the planning. So to explain the entire trip and break down the expenses, break down the preparation, and share with you guys exactly what happened and how the trip materialized. First up, huge disclaimer, I am not a travel vlogger. I am not a person who's really willing to travel on his own, at least until recently, which explains the surroundings. I'm currently in Cebu, but more on that in the next video. Having said that, that trip to Taipei wouldn't have happened if not for my sister, my brother, and for the fact that we wanted to take our mom outside the country. Plus, it's been a while since we've traveled together, so we just wanted to do something different. So really, most of the things that happened, most of the things that happened during that trip, I didn't plan. It just so happened that I have been to Taipei before with somebody else, need not mention. But for this time around, they were asking me a lot of questions like, where should we go? What should we eat? Things to do? How much is this thing? And they've been asking me so many questions. I just answered their questions, but really it's more of my sister, my brother, and his girlfriend who made all the plans. And
actually I did most of the navigating. Let's not fool ourselves. I'm not really that adept. I'm not really that good when it comes to traveling. Anyway,
this video will explain to you exactly how we did it. So the first thing that we did was we had to wait for cheap flights. We knew we wanted to leave the country. Not really leave. We knew we wanted to fly, and it was around November, I think, and then we saw an airline all of a sudden offer really cheap seats to Taipei. And they all thought, yeah, why don't we go to Taipei? It'll be mom's first time to be outside the country. And the only thing that they were thinking was it would be my second time to go to Taipei. And I was like, yeah, I mean, no problem. I'll go with you. I can take you to places, I'll navigate the subway for you guys. And so we did. So we found these really cheap flights through a local carrier. I think you know what I'm talking about. No, not that one, the other one. There are only two carriers that would really have cheap flights. Anyway, so we booked that as early as November, and if you noticed, we traveled during the first week of April. So we had about 5 months to do all the planning and to save money. So we didn't hire a tour group, we didn't have tour guides, it was just us. We just built the itinerary all by ourselves, and that happened up until like a month before we left. So we had a lot of choices, a lot of places, and I was just there to basically answer questions like,
how far is this from this? Is it possible for us to do things in one day?
Things like that. So that's what I did. I didn't really plan a lot, but I did suggest a couple of places that we should visit. That's all. That's pretty much what I did. And of course, recommend places to eat in and things to have, because there wasn't really a reason for me to go to Taipei except to eat. I mean, it's such a foodie city, I tell you. I guess you can tell by the videos. Next tip. So I did mention earlier that we had about 5 months to plan for the trip, and one of the biggest considerations that you have when you're going to travel is, where are you going to sleep in? So the first time that I went to Taipei, we booked a hotel, and since our flight came in at like in the middle of the night, I had to pay an extra half of the day just so that I could reserve a room in the hotel. And then when we left, it was at around, we had to check out at around 7 or 8 in the evening. So that meant I also had to pay for an extra half day. So which means I paid for an extra day that I didn't really stay in the hotel for. And hotels tend to be very expensive, considering that we were only there for a couple of days and there's just 2 of us. Not a good option. So we looked for an Airbnb. It's a good thing that we traveled in groups, which is also a fantastic tip. If it's the first time that you're flying outside the country, leave with a group of people. Leave with your family, relatives, friends, as long as you're in a decent sized group. Well, a group that an Airbnb could accommodate, basically, because things tend to be a lot cheaper in numbers. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out, but in my case, I never really thought of it. And it's a lot more fun to travel in groups, believe me. Another consideration would be the time of the flight. What time are you flying into Taiwan? The first time that I went to Taiwan, we flew in really early in the morning and then we left really early in the morning. So these were early morning flights because they're really cheaper than regular flights. In our case, we managed to find inexpensive flights that left at 7 in the morning. Why do you have to think about these things? Well, one, the airport MRT closes at around 11 p.m. and reopens at around 6 in the morning. So if you are flying into Taipei between those times, it'll be difficult for you to get out of the airport. I've heard of people who would sleep at the airport and wait for the MRT, basically because it's the cheapest option available. Another option would be to take the taxi, and based on the last time that I went there, it will cost you an arm and a leg. So the last option that you have to get out of the airport is by taking the bus. And with buses, they have specific bus routes and bus stops. This isn't Manila, you can't just get off everywhere. And the trip actually terminates at Taipei main station, which is a good thing if your Airbnb or hotel is close to Taipei main station, like walking distance close. If it's not and you have to take a taxi, then the entire idea of avoiding the taxi to begin with is a moot point. So in our case, we found a fantastic Airbnb that is just in the Longshan Temple area. So that's just, a station away from Taipei Main, a station or 2 away from Taipei Main Station. So when we got to Taipei, we would ride the airport MRT from Taoyuan all the way to Taipei Main Station, switch lines, and then get to Longshan. Very easy. And because we were a group, if you divide that amongst the number of people in our group, which is 6, that only set us back, just over 3,000 pesos for the entire trip. And we were there for 5 days, 4 nights. Not bad. As soon as you land in the airport, make sure you get yourself an Easy Card or an MRT card. You can get that at any convenience store. You will have to pay 100 NT dollars for the card itself, and then you can top it off with whatever amount that you have in mind. I just happened to put in like 1,000 NT dollars. I know that sounds like a lot, but you can use the card for the MRT, you can use it for buses, you can use it at convenience stores, you can even use it at vending machines as long as they have the symbol. So it's not bad to just put some cash in the little card, because that will get you around Taipei. And even up to Taichung, we were able to use that in the last mile that we had to travel from Taichung City all the way to the flower garden. So it's not a bad idea to put in a lot of money on that card. Just make sure that you don't leave a lot of money in the card when you do leave Taiwan. It expires in like a year or so. So do what my sister and brother and mother did. They went to the nearest vending machine and swiped their hearts out. At least they had a lot of pasalubong. Now, speaking of money, I know people are thinking, should I bring dollars? Should I have this exchange at the airport? First, let's talk ATMs and credit cards. I think it's best that you call your bank and let them know that you'll be outside the country and there's a possibility that you'll be using your cards outside the country. If you're not really planning to use your card, that's fine. But in case of emergencies, it's best that you make those arrangements before you fly. In my case, I usually do. Whenever I fly outside the country, I always have my ATM and then my credit card ready for international travel. If you're planning to have your cash converted at the Taiwan airport, make sure that you bring dollars. They would give you the best value. Otherwise, you can look for, the best value amongst the banks in the country. We found some great rates, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it in this video. Other travelers would even say that withdrawing cash from the ATMs in Taiwan would be a better idea. Just be prepared, because every time you withdraw, there's going to be a withdrawal fee. Or withdrawal fee? Is this like smoking or something? No. Anyway, so there's going to be a fee. Just ask your bank how much that fee is for every transaction, or if it's a percentage of how much you withdraw. It really depends on the bank, so talk to your bank about that. Taipei, like any good international city, is fully wired, meaning there are Wi-Fi hotspots everywhere. All you need to do is ask for the password at coffee shops, hotels, restaurants, and they're going to gladly share it with you. It can be a bit slow, and you will be tied in that one spot just so that you can share things on social media. What our group did was we got a pocket Wi-Fi that we picked up at the airport. It's relatively cheap. It's just under 500 pesos, and you can use that for about 5 days. Not really that bad, and a great option to have. Most of the places that we went to, like the Maokong Gondola, the double-decker bus ride, Taipei 101 Observatory, these are things that you can get tickets for ahead of time. There are tons of websites out there. We used Klook. This is not a sponsored video, but we just happened to use that a lot during the last trip. We got our Maokong Gondola rides. That's actually a package with the double-decker bus, or is it the other way around? Anyway, that's a very cheap alternative instead of getting individual tickets. Our Taipei 101 Observatory ticket was also at a discounted price, so it's best to go online and check for these discounts before you even travel. Other activities that you may have to pay for would include, say, the paper lanterns that you have to fly up to Shifen. That would set you back around 150 NT dollars for a single colored lantern, and 200 NT dollars for the 6 colored lantern. So we opted for the multicolored lantern, and that's just 55 bucks per person. Like in our case, 6 people, not bad. Now, food is something that you can do intense research for. In one sitting, you won't go over like 150 or 200 NT dollars, depending on where you eat. You can go to a lot of different purveyors. Milk tea will just set you back around 60, 70 NT dollars, depending on the flavor, depending on the size. Even the regular sized ones in the original Pearl Milk Tea place in Taichung, that's big enough. So the regular size already looks quite large. If you get the large one, then make sure that you know where the restrooms are. There's this great hot pot place that we went to in Ximending called Mala, and that set us back around 995 Philippine pesos. So not bad. You're there for 2 hours, plus if you love desserts at places like these, you get treated to Movenpick and Häagen-Dazs ice creams and sorbets. Not bad for under 1,000 pesos. So we did a computation of how much you would approximately spend for a trip to Taipei in, so say 5 days, 4 nights. So I'm pretty sure you're going to get cheaper flights than the ones that I found over this weekend, because honestly, I can't remember how much I paid for our flights, but it was a couple of months ahead of time, so I'm thinking it would be much cheaper than the amount you see on the screen. I've computed everything from MRT. Actually, the MRT card, that's more than enough. There should be enough there to use at vending machines and then just use that for pasalubong. If you just give yourself enough budget for food, it'll only, like the basics, the things that you have to go to, it'll just set you back just under 15,000 pesos. But you don't need like a huge budget. I'd say 15 to 20,000 depending on how much you eat. Basically all that you're going to do in Taipei is just eat. If you're going to buy souvenirs, just be prepared. They tend to be really expensive. Food is still the inexpensive gift to give if you're traveling from Taipei. So there are lots of deals, especially in Rauhe. Really nice deals. And also go to supermarkets. That's another thing that we did. There's a supermarket near our Airbnb and you can get almost everything there for a lot cheaper than in malls or tourist shops. So it's really nice to go to these local supermarkets. There are tons of them everywhere. There are some that are even open for 24 hours. Just make sure that you go and check them out. They're going to be a great deal. And that's, oh my God, I don't even know how to close this. But that is all. That's all you need to know about traveling to Taipei. And you can actually use the basic idea whenever you're traveling outside the country. If you have other travel tips to other viewers, just make sure that you put that in the comment section below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content. This has been Francis, and I'll see you in the next adventure.